Welcome back. This is not a bike mechanic video, no. It's a drywall repair video, and you're watching it on the #1 home improvement YouTube channel in the entire world. We are back to repair the ceiling where we had that flood a couple weeks ago. It's been left open to dry. Here's a quick shot of the part that was replaced, the plumbing there. Now, a couple eagle-eye viewers in the last video spotted this flue here that had come disconnected from the water heater. And I went back and fixed it. Who knows how long it's been off? Someone actually does live in this basement. They sleep there. There's a bedroom there. Could have been off for a month. Could have been off for a couple years. So before we get started, we have to make sure that we contain all of our dust. That's one of the biggest differences between a good job and a bad job, is how well you keep the dust controlled. The finished product can look good, but if you get dust all over their antiques, doesn't matter. It's a failure. This is the same type of thin plastic that I use to make all my plastic walls, whether I'm taping it up or I'm using my extension poles. But we are ready to sand, we're ready to cut, we're ready to do anything we want in this room, and nothing will get on the carpet or all their antiques. So these are some of the remaining screws that are in the steel framing there. All that's got to come out. I also got to square this whole thing up. You can see how thick the joint compound is there next to the corner. So I have to match that. And what I'm showing here is that pretty much every drywall seam in this entire basement is already visible. So there's low expectations for the owner of this rental house. Well, hello there. A lot of people have been asking what I've been doing in my time off from YouTube since I haven't been uploading. I spend a lot of my time playing video games. The video game I'm playing right now happens to be today's video sponsor. The game is called Crazy Defense Heroes. It's a strategy tower defense game full of action and challenges. Develop your own strategy and defend the kingdom from evil enemies. Collect over 400 cards and combined hero, tower, spell, and equipment cards. There's more than 1,000 levels, 4 playing modes. I'm normally on the normal mode, but you have normal, hard, crazy, and nightmare. Tower cards are battle cards to be placed on tower spots permitted for each level. Spell cards have a diverse range of abilities, from massive area damage, powerful summons, freezing and knocking back enemies, to hero boosts. Hero cards are units that can be placed and moved anywhere on the battlefield. Equipment cards are used to customize the stats and appearance of your avatar. There's a multiplayer mode. You can join a clan or create your own. Each season lasts for 5 weeks. Click the link in the description and download Crazy Defense Heroes. What I'm doing here is just trying to make this into a perfect rectangle so that the piece that I cut fits it. Now you're probably wondering why I didn't do this when I opened the ceiling up. There just wasn't enough time that day to get this into a perfect rectangle. I was just trying to get it opened up, all the wet drywall removed, and get to the next job. I'm using my multi-tool here to shave down some of the spots that need to be cut. See, all that dust stays right in the room. It's pretty heavy, doesn't float around, falls straight to the floor. Out on the streets. What I'm showing you here is that the long edge of the sheet of drywall has a bevel on it. And I don't want that bevel in this patch. Oh, excuse me, it's a repair. Always call it a repair, not a patch. When you're installing new drywall, you want to butt those ends together and you fill it with joint compound. But for this repair, we want it to meet up with the existing drywall. Using a drywall T-square, most T-squares aren't very square, especially if they've been bouncing around your tool trailer for a decade. So I always measure and just use it as a straight edge. You can also use a chalk line. I'm just going around, make sure I get all these screws removed. The last thing you want to do is get a sheet of drywall up over your head in place and it's not fitting and you get frustrated and you start hammering on it and then you blow out a corner or bust a hole through it because there is a screw still stuck in the framing. So what I need to do here is put backing in on all the areas that don't have steel framings. That's going to be all four corners and that far edge. Just some scrap 2.5, 3-inch poplar. Stuffing a bunch of screws in my mouth. Getting ready. Is it going to fit? Is it going to fit the first try? Of course it fits the first try. Now those steel studs can be a little tricky when you're used to screwing into wood studs. You got to penetrate it and then not overdrive it. Or else you'll just go right straight through the drywall. And you have to put another screw in. You can see I did that right next to that heat register there. Probably did it there too. Here's just a close-up shot of what it looks like before I put the joint compound and the tape in. So I'm using a setting compound. This is 20-minute mud. It's because I'm trying to get this all done in one day. Normally I would use a setting compound, then a topping compound, and then let it dry, and then come back and do the texture. But I want to get it all done in one day, so we're using 20-minute mud. So I'm going over the joints one pass, packing it in, and then I'll go over it with some Fibofuse. It's a fiberglass drywall tape. Works great for repairs. Not sure I would use it on a full, new production home or a full basement, but it's great for these little repairs here. I'm working fast. My 20-minute mud is curing up fast. Now this drywall tape is not that mesh tape that you might be familiar with. It's an actual fiberglass. Real easy to work with. Tears real easy. And it's not very thick, so it doesn't leave a big bulge. So right now my 20-minute mud is too hard. Too hard to bed the tape in. So I'm going and just packing it in that last seam there. Actually had the battery run out. Had to go out to the truck, get a whole new battery for the camera. So that caused some time, and I would have got it if it wasn't for the battery. But it's okay just to pack it in there. And I think I've already come back and mixed some more. And this is a close-up of me putting the tape on. A whole new batch of that setting compound. We're switching to, I think this is like a 12-inch knife. Just trying to draw out that seam, float it out into the middle of that sheet of drywall. Now you can tell that this is a heavily textured ceiling, has orange peel on it, and that's what I'll be matching. And that covers a lot, so you don't have to go overboard with your joint compound and floating your seams. I always take it a little bit further than I need to, so that once the texture's on, there's nothing to see. You see a little bulge there. That is left over from the flood, and the paint had separated. And you'll see a close-up of that in a minute. There it is. So what I'm doing here is just giving things a scrape. The worst thing in the world is to have to sand setting compound. So you let it cure up a little bit, and you go back with your 6-inch knife and just try to scrape off any ridges so that there's less to sand. I take care of that little spot there that I'm doing a dramatic zoom in. Usually with this orange peel texture, it's 2 coats and then a spot treatment, and then sand, and then spray the texture. It's a horrible experience, sanding setting compound. If you want to go easy on yourself, you would do 1 or 2 coats of the setting compound and the topping compound. The topping compound is a drying compound, so it takes a little bit longer, but you're putting it on pretty thin, and if you get a fan on it, you can get it to dry in a day, half day, couple hours. Yours truly, the Caulk Gun t-shirt, the one and only official. Just heating up the texture in some water there. Give it a good shake. I've had bad luck with these over the last year. Some work, some don't. What I mean by that is you make sure it's ready to shoot, and this thing just breaks and sprays all over the place. I got lucky with this one. I used an entire can. Always test it out on a surface that, is thrown in the trash. Go in circles. Keep in mind it shrinks up. So if you think you get it too heavy, it'll shrink to match what's there. Now I'm getting down to the end of the can and getting some big globs on there. Keep in mind that'll shrink and you'll never see it. So giving it a lot of shake, getting it all out. Just taking down my plastic now. It's kind of expensive. One roll costs about $20, but it makes things so easy. I used maybe a, what is that, 20 feet? I've got several of them bouncing around the trailer. But everything packs up nice and neat. Job's done. I pull the tape off the lights, put the globes back on, and something interesting. I'm not going to paint it. So a little bit after I get everything tidied up, property manager stopped by and he says, it looks great. I said, yeah, I'll be back later to paint it. He says, oh, don't even worry about it. Looks great. Keep in mind this was after it dried, and it dried to a flat white. And this is a rental. It's pretty much destroyed. So it's going to need a full paint job when there's a turnover or when the owner decides to sell it. If you got questions, concerns, specifically safety concerns, put them down in the comments. It's hilarious. You got to go read them all. You never know what you're going to find down there. I spend most of my days playing video games and reading YouTube comments. I'm curious what this magnificent invention of mine is. This is a high-powered